Learn to be super successful. Subscribe to my channel, Meathead.
But in addition, I'm allergic to almost everything on the estate. The rapeseed, and I don't know exactly what that is, but it's a yellow shit that you see fields of it around here. I'm allergic to. I'm allergic to dust mites in the castle because the castle is several hundred years old. I'm allergic to all kinds of stuff. Pardon?
So why you live in a castle?
Hey, don't start. The three things I wouldn't do again: one, have kids; two, buy a fucking castle; or three, I lucked out getting married the second time around, because when we talk about this the last day, when QLA is your lifestyle for the rest of your life, if your wife or your partner, whatever you call it, or it, is not a workaholic, you're fucked. Because you do 6, 8, 10, 25 deals and you exit. I mean, for the guys, they're walking around with a heart on like this. And I mean, and that's why Peter's got 3 more kids. He doesn't, I won't say this. I'm sure he loves it. You know how you always say you love your kids even if you don't? Okay? And you always say you don't have a favorite, right? I love you all the same. That's a lot of shit. And kids know that. But anyway, that's why he's got 3 more kids. And that's why Thomas has got 6 kids and all this. But I thought it was from where I come from, the hood, the barrio, it was the gentleman thing to do, to be a gentleman farmer, I thought. And it just didn't work out. And Driller was alive then. And the only one that knew that it was a stupid idea was the fucking dog. And the first 6 or 8 months that we were here, and we got him over here from America, he trotted around the property like, But after about 6 months, he just sit in my office and wait for me to come back. He never left the goddamn office. And he got old. And he lived to almost 13, which is very, very old for a Great Dane. But he said, this is a load of shit. And so then after about 18 months, and I was playing golf almost every day because I moved here because I wanted to be near the home of golf, St. Andrews, which is only about 30 miles from here. And then one of the great courses in the world is Carnoustie, which is about 8 miles from here, 10 miles from here. But then you get tired of playing the best golf courses in the world. So then I built my own golf course because I just, got tired of being driven there. But so you're going to go through these stages, just like the plane stage. I tell you, it's fun. And sperm does float. And so in all these things, I just got a sperm does float email from one of the guys who's got a plane. But you don't need to. Even though people tell you that you shouldn't do it, you do it anyway. And I was older than most of the kids now that are getting rich. I was a good 5 to 8 or 10 years older. And I still did it. My frontal lobe was already developed, so I can't use that as an excuse for the kids. And you just do it. You shouldn't do it, but you do it. Boats, 2 of the happiest days of my life was the day I bought my yacht, the day I sold it. I mean, yachts eat fucking money. And I had a crew, and I had a chef. I had a Rivera, which is a really expensive Italian boat. I was only on it 3 times. I took my dad and my kid brother out fishing once. And I went to, and we had the #1 slip in Redondo Beach, which is the slip. It's the party slip. I didn't get it because it was the party slip. I just wanted to know which is the closest slip to the restaurants, and it was #1. And the crew lived on the boat. And I'd come back from out of town early, and it's like surprising your teenage kids when they don't think you're going to be home. I mean, it was fucking people running naked and all kinds of shit on my boat. So then when we sold it, and everybody said, why are you selling it? Of course, a lot of my business clients and the few friends that are now dead that were alive then, hey, Dan, you don't want to sell that boat because they're on it. But so you do a lot of things. You just do them. And but when I tell you I've done them, it's not because I read it in a book. And it's just, you don't want an estate this big. You need it with about 20 acres, not 155 acres. if you want to manicure it. I mean, if you want it to look decent. My neighbors, God love them, that have been here for hundreds of years, the carpets are 300-400 years old. They're all worn. Okay, the furniture's all worn. You can see the fucking springs, because they haven't been reupholstered in 100 years. The wallpaper and shit is falling off the walls. I know the difference between rising damp, wet rot, and dry rot, which the castle had all of them, all the above, and plus 2 or 3 other things. You can't have something that's 500 plus years old, and the castle was built in extension. So the newest part of the castle is about 135 or 140 years old, which is where my office is. That's the newest part. The oldest part is 1468 when it was originated. But nobody had the money then, because you had serfs or slaves or servants or staff, as they're called now. But now you can't afford. My neighbors can't afford 15, 18, 20 people to work here on their estate. And my estate's not that big, but there's estates here, 25,000 acres, 12,000 acres. Most of the castles, our house is 55,000 square feet in living space. And most of the castles are, 2/3 of them are shut. Not boarded, and some of them are even boarded off because they're not heated. And you go in there, it's like a Addams Family movie, with cobwebs, and you go through, and we have ghosts, whether I believe it because I've seen one, but it's a pain. But anyway, I'm telling you, buy a penthouse. Like Grant Cardone's got in Florida, a penthouse, with no maintenance, no shit, no nothing. And he can't spend more than $15,000 a month on that. And he's got a nice penthouse. But you don't have to worry about all the other shit. And we've had 3 penthouses. We had one in Houston, Texas. We had one in London, 3 stories with helipads and shit. No maintenance. 3 servants instead of 16. And they'll still sleep and they'll still fuck around, even the 3. The only time that you, for sure, a servant's not doing something shit is when he's in the room with you. And now with woke and PC and working from home, it's worse. But anyway, I don't want to get off on that tangent. I've been saying this for a couple of years, that when the big tsunami comes, that Netflix and all these guys that say that you play basketball and ping pong and that kind of shit at work, I knew that was a load of shit then. But now, the senior managers of these companies, I'll show you a couple of slides, are, tightening. Now they're making you accountable. There's a thing called outcome management, which is not new. It's been around a few years. But Siemens and Netflix have turned to outcome management. And you couldn't find 2 different kind of companies, Netflix and Siemens. Siemens is Gestapo. Loose kind of Gestapo, but Gestapo. But now outcome. So let's say that this half of the room has got a project, and we need 100 million or 100 billion, in, whatever the number is, in sales by September 1. We don't check on you. We don't do periodic charts. Nothing. Come September 1, it's not, you don't hit the goal, you're all gone. I mean, you're adios, motherfucker. Okay? Netflix is doing the same thing. I eventually think before the next recovery, 75% of the big companies will all be on outcome management because they're finding it extremely difficult to get them back in the office. Now, I wouldn't find it extremely difficult, believe me. And we're going to show you how you can fire somebody for the rest of your life and never worry about the rules and regulations, because it's how you hire them that's important. The contract you make them sign, and I'll show you how to do that. You can fire anybody. I'm not proud of all the people I fired. I've closed down divisions. I put a lot of people out of work. But they didn't do their job beforehand. And I'm not a second chance guy. You cheat on me once, you and him are dead. Not I'm going to give you another chance. It's because we got 9 kids. And that's considered old school. In caveman days, you cheated on the caveman. I mean, you were certainly dead, for sure. And he wasn't interested in, all the excuses. And now kids, you're all kids. Kids have got excuses for everything. Now you hold yourself accountable when it's convenient. We have kids. I didn't know diarrhea was a thing that you didn't have to come to work for. I didn't know that. I never heard that until I got here. What's that got to do with going to work? You're just on the pot a lot. Or work from the toilet. I don't give a shit. Pun intended. You got fucking diarrhea? But that's the way it is now. That's the way it is. And when you take these things over, I tell you, I said yesterday, most of you should just, whatever little chicken shit businesses you have, you just turn the key and walk away and start over again. Or fire everybody. I think I told you, fire everybody, start up in 30 or 45 days, and I'll bet you $1 million to one. There's a frame over there with a pound coin in it. It's just to the left of me in the red, the red border of me holding a $20 million check. Well, just to the left of it is a pound. I bet a guy 1 million pounds to a pound a few years ago. 1 million. That he couldn't do what he thought he was going to be able to do. He tried everything known to man. Lie, cheat, steal. Of course, he was Asian, so it was easy for him to lie, cheat, steal. Lie, cheat, steal. And he finally sent me that little note with a pound. How did you know I couldn't do it? Because I've been doing it. At that time, I was only doing this about 40 years instead of 50 years. But I tell you, there's no way humanly possible to make it work. There's no fucking way. When I tell you there's going to be 31 days in February, there's going to be 31 motherfucking days in February, and it's only got 28, and every 4 or 5 years it's got 29. Because I know. You're better off closing it down, firing everybody and starting again, and hiring them the way I'm going to teach you how to hire them. But you won't do that. Well, a few guys have done it. But it's not easy, because 50% of your employees are your buddies and relatives. And how do you go to Thanksgiving dinner or whatever you do, and you just fired everybody? I have. But I mean, now they're tightening it up. High performer managers have set harsher targets. This is so idiotic that they write about this. Anybody that's got a fucking half a brain knows this. But you don't do it. You still haven't reminded me of Heineken. But the old man, God rest his soul, one of the reasons that I've been in the Netherlands so long is because, and through Vinica actually, and he liked me, and so I got to teach at various of the better universities, Nyenrode, University of Amsterdam, and I got to be a member. For those Dutch guys and gals, you should join the Amstel Club at the Amstel Hotel. But now, when Sal and I were there about 2 years ago, I wanted to check on my membership. I got a membership for free through Mr. Heineken years ago. I wanted to know what my membership number was, because when I sign, when I'm buying something for lunch or breakfast, and the manager wasn't even there for 2.5 days. He's working from home. How can you be the manager of a fucking hotel and work from fucking home? How's that possible? In today's world, it is. So I just signed my name, and I guess my signature must be the same as it was 25 years ago. So, and I was able to sign for stuff. And the Amstel Hotel is a premium hotel, and it's when you can't find the help at a premium hotel, the cycle's over. We're through. And but guys are getting tougher, gals are getting tougher. Now, Jimmy Diamond of J.P. Morgan and a few of the other guys have said, you've got, I think, till July 1 or whatever, you can work 5 days a week in the office. Well, that's a normal work week. But in Wall Street, it's not a normal work week. 7 days a week is a normal work week. So he's allowing you you can have 2 days off you don't come in the office. That's Saturday and Sunday. But most of you live in the virtual employee world. I told you about we hired a CFO 3 times from a guy, and then he denied it. We've had we've had mentees that had 300 or 400 virtual employees. And then when he actually counted them, he was paying for 380, but he only had 160. We have kids in the Philippines that you can get a PhD thesis written for, $1,000 by a kid in the Philippines, or Belarus, or India. We have PhDs. We have first and second year medical students that never went to medical school, and all the papers are written by fucking smart Asians. That's where we are. The world's fucked. A good many of the doctors that you are Google doctors. And there are medical schools that give you degrees. Not in the UK, not in the US, but in Portugal or Bolivia or Uruguay or fucking... You don't even know where your doctors went to school. Ask. In the old days, you'd go to the office, he'd have all, in the reception room, he'd have all his degrees and shit on the wall. That doesn't happen anymore. I contend because they don't have any. In Asian medicine, I couldn't understand a medical degree in Chinese or Korean, if he was trying to show me. So, but this is where we are. Zuckerberg made a staff up in performance, and now he's buff. He's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu of some form, and now he's turning himself into a warrior. Oh, fuck. I'd like to know what master taught him, but anyway, I don't have any of those things, so I'm not going to point the finger of indignation other than bring it up. And he says he's sorry, and it's his fault that he's firing all these people. But you always overstaff. We have 12 years of low interest rates, money free, and everybody always overhires. Always. But when that profit rolls over, and you take a hard, stern look at what you're spending the money on, you don't cut your salary, you cut everybody else out. And that's just the way it is. Last night you saw Steve, right? Which I happen to have known. I may have been one of the last individuals saw him while he was still walking around. We were in Bangalore. And both Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Jack Welch, amongst others, Elon Musk say the smartest people in the world come from southern India. And if you look at the Fortune 100 companies, a good portion of them, a majority, over 50%, are run by Asians, mostly Indians. And Sally and I were there from about the early 2000s. I told you that we were one of the big first Google advertisers, and we had several hundred employees. I saw it was a private club, and he was dancing by himself like this for 3.5 hours. Sally and I are sitting over here at a table, and the place closes 2:45. One of the first times I stayed up that late in a long, long time. But I wanted to see what happened to him. And they came over to him, and then the band went away. And then a few weeks later, he was dead. Was he living in an alternative world? Yeah. Did he change the world? For sure. Did he give a shit? Now, I'm going to ask you for comments about, since you saw, and there's 3 movies about Steve. Every movie that comes out is worse than the last one, and there's another one coming out. And I hear, I don't know if it's true or not, Apple's trying to keep it off the market because it's so debilitating, some of the stuff he did. Now, I've seen him throw computer at people and shit like that, try to put people out windows. I've seen that with my own eyes. So that's not all bullshit. Okay, goodbye, YouTube. What are the comments about the Jobs movie?